Ron Springett was England's keeper, and they barely said his name. He stood in silence. Behind the ones they cheered, behind the ones they never let fade. Banks became the icon, Bonetti the story. Others were remembered for saves, for failures, for noise. Springett was not remembered at all. He didn't demand it, didn't chase it. He just stood there, sharp, exact, always ready, then stepped aside without complaint. He guarded a team that never called him forward, held the line for a country that looked the other way. And when they moved on, he didn't. Because some players play for themselves, and some just keep the net clean. No quotes, no headlines, no legacy carved by others, only a name left in the quiet where only real football remembers. Ron Springett, the name they buried beneath their own applause. Subscribe if you believe silence doesn't mean forgotten. Ronald Derrick George Springett, born 22nd July 1935 in Fulham, West London. 5'10", thin shoulders, steel in his timing. Second of 6 children, raised in a house where dreams were smaller than the rent. His father Percy drove for other men. His mother Caroline worked kitchens and held the home together. He didn't grow up inside football. He grew up next to it, working as a fitter's mate by day, chasing chances in muddy boots by night. There were no scouts, no youth pathway, only concrete, cold hands and quiet ambition. He went for a trial at Fulham, turned away, too short, too quiet, but he kept playing. His younger brother Peter watched him carefully, and years later followed him into goal. But Ron led first, by instinct, by silence. QPR gave him a shirt. No fanfare, no promise. Just a post to protect. And the first crack of a career no one was watching yet. There were no headlines, just games, one after another. No spotlight waiting, only the goal. And the name they still didn't know how to pronounce. Ron Springett, now in Queen's Park Rangers' first team. Still young, still overlooked, but already moving like he belonged. From 1953 to 1958, he played in the shadows of London's lower leagues. 88 league appearances, most of them behind defenses that leaked like torn nets. But he never blamed, never shouted, just kept cleaning up the mess. He wasn't built to intimidate, he was built to survive. Light frame, fast hands, unshaken focus. In 1957, the Football League noticed, named him to the 3rd Division South representative team, a quiet signal that something rare was hiding in plain sight. Still, few came calling, because Ron Springett didn't entertain. He endured. There was no theater in his game, just saves and silence. And in that silence, Sheffield Wednesday finally looked closer. In 1958, Sheffield Wednesday paid $10,000, not for fame, not for flair, for something rarer. A keeper who didn't flinch when everything else collapsed. Ron Springett arrived without noise, but Wednesday soon realized they'd bought a wall. Promotion came fast. 2nd Division champions 1958-59. And Ron didn't just play his part, he held the door shut while the club climbed through it. From that point forward, he was undroppable. He played in goal like he was wired to the posts, sharp, balanced, always a step ahead. He didn't fill the net, he just emptied it of danger. He played through cold, through injury, through weight, match after match, season after season. 345 league appearances, more in cups, every one of them steady. In 1966, he led them to the FA Cup final. 2 goals ahead, Wembley holding its breath. And then, Everton turned it, 3-2. Ron stood through it all, no excuses, no blame, no self-pity. He was never there for the result. He was there for the post, and he guarded it the only way he knew. Quietly, cleanly, completely. They gave him a testimonial in 1967. One last applause before the next silence. But Sheffield never forgot him. And history still owes him more. Before Gordon Banks stood tall, Ron Springett was already there, hands outstretched, eyes calm, heart unshakable. He earned his first England cap in 1959. No fanfare, just proof. He didn't shout for attention. He earned it by stopping everything else. And soon, he was undeniable. From 1959 to 1966, Ron Springett became England's number one. He wore that shirt for 33 caps, held it through pressure, form, and rising contenders. Between the posts, he played like he was solving problems before they happened. Quiet, precise, cold-blooded. He didn't need Banks's physical power. He had anticipation, balance, and hands like shutters. But football changes quickly. In 1966, as England approached the World Cup, Alf Ramsey made the switch. Banks was younger, bigger, louder. Springett? He took the bench. And when England lifted the trophy, Ron didn't play a minute. Most players would have walked away bitter. Ron walked away quiet. Because to him, goalkeeping was never about the spotlight. It was about doing your job, no matter who's watching. And that's what made him unforgettable. Even when they tried to forget. After the World Cup, he went back, not to celebration, but to the club that first saw him. Queen's Park Rangers, 1967. One final chapter. But this was not the same Springett. Time had chipped the edges, his body heavier, reflexes a second slower, and football, as always, moved on without guilt. He played just 45 league games, no farewell tour, no spotlight, just a man finishing what he started, in the same colors he wore as a kid. By 1969, he hung up his gloves, no front page story, no thank you speech, no golden send-off, just the quiet whisper of boots folded under a bed that history barely glanced at. And yet, when England sang songs of Banks, of Shilton, of Clemence, his name rarely passed their lips. Even though he made England's number one shirt mean something, before anyone else did. Even though he gave the game a decade of clean, cold excellence. No scandals, no fame chasing, just gloves, grass, grit. What did the game give him back? Not much. No Hall of Fame, no lifelong ambassador role, no mainstream tribute, just silence, but not from his peers. Gordon Banks called him one of the most consistent and reliable I ever saw. Sheffield Wednesday fans still call him the best keeper we ever had. They remembered, even if the world didn't. Because Ron never asked for applause, but he earned the kind that lasts beyond it. After football, Ron Springett disappeared from the headlines, but not from those who mattered. He didn't chase television cameras, he didn't write a tell-all book, he didn't become a pundit shouting from the studio desk. Instead, he found peace. In family, in gardens, in silence. A man who gave the game everything and asked for nothing loud in return. He stayed close to Sheffield. The city that once roared for him still held him in quiet affection. He was a guest of honor on occasion. But even then, he was humble, always letting others speak. Behind that calmness was pain, too. In later years, he died after a short illness on 12th of September 2015, aged 80, a quiet end to a life lived away from the spotlight. In Kingston upon Thames. No front-page obituaries, no state-like ceremonies. But those who remembered with heart. His daughter confirmed the news. His family grieved privately. And for a few days, Sheffield Wednesday fans filled forums and terraces with memories that had waited too long to be spoken aloud. Because when giants like Ron go, the world doesn't always notice. But the game knows. And somewhere, the net still shakes from the saves only he could make. He never chased spotlights, but he earned one. And when it finally turned his way, he was already gone. No parades, no documentaries, no banner hung on the stadium wall. Just a name, etched quietly in match reports, faded programs, and the memory of those who watched him guard the impossible. Ron Springett was posthumously added to Queen's Park Rangers' Forever Ours, years after the gloves were folded and hands that once saved England's honor had stilled forever. In 2009, that long-withheld World Cup medal was handed to him at last. A rule change, a nod from the past. But no celebration followed, because Ron never played for applause. And by then, applause came only in whispers. His honors arrived in fragments, testimonial matches, posthumous mentions. A family receiving what he never asked for, recognition too slow to catch up to the truth. And the truth was this: England forgot one of its safest hands. Wednesday knew, but the world moved on. While others were sculpted in bronze, Ron Springett was remembered in silence, not because he lacked greatness, but because his greatness never asked for permission. This is what football forgets, until someone tells it again. Subscribe. If you believe players like Ron should never be buried under history's dust. He was more than a keeper. He kept England whole, while no one was looking.